So I mentioned in my Bulls Summer League preview video that I don't place a ton of stock in how a given team or a player performs in Summer League because it usually, not all the time, but usually isn't indicative of how a player will perform in actual NBA games. Case in point, I thought Tony Snell and Doug McDermott were going to turn into great players in the NBA after they made the Summer League first team in 2014. And then of course, you had the likes of Denzel Valentine playing like a near MVP level player, leading the Summer League Bulls to the title in 2016 and hitting that game-winning shot. And of course, I got so hyped watching Valentine in that Summer League, thinking we had someone that we had just stolen from in the draft with the 14th pick. And of course, Valentine never managed to make much of an impact for the Bulls outside of thinking he's Steph Curry in closing minutes of the game with about a tenth of the skill set that Steph Curry actually has, which even a tenth is probably generous for him. But all of that being said, this is probably the most excited I have been to watch the Bulls play in Summer League since Derrick Rose was drafted in 2008, and mainly I'm just hyped in general because of all the free agency news that were made last week that it's sort of spilled over into being excited for Summer League. So even though I'm taking Summer League play with a grain of salt, as I always do, I am still going to watch, and I'm planning to recap the games for you guys in case you missed them. And with the Bulls finishing their first Summer League game against New Orleans, that's what I'll be discussing in this video. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Now, real quick, as we have a lot of new subscribers since the end of the regular season, so for those of you who are new, you're probably wondering why I don't show the highlights of the footage from the actual game that I'm talking about. Well, the reason for that is because the NBA is pretty strict about their copyright protected content, and generally newer footage is copyright protected, and I don't want to receive strikes on my channel or have my channel be taken down as a result. So, like last season in these recap videos, I'll just be showing older highlights from players, which I know isn't the best, but really I do this channel more for the dialogue than anything. So just wanted to be clear, as I know a lot of people will probably be asking about that in the comments. Now, as for this game, I mean, not the best game for the Bulls as a team, but I think we can all agree that Summer League isn't really a place to showcase a team's success, but more so a place for individual players to show what they can do, because a lot of teams are looking to make a roster spot. Like some of these guys, they already know that they're on the team, but for most of the players in the Summer League, across all teams really, are looking to prove their worth to NBA teams. This essentially is the ultimate scouting event. But even for it being Summer League, and this being a Summer League game, there was a lot to call out in this one. And yes, a blowout loss for the Bulls, but there were elements of the game that I was really happy to see. I mean, first and foremost, you have to love what you saw from Patrick Williams. Again, I know it's just Summer League, and obviously he's going against inferior competition. There's less at stake than an actual game, so there isn't as much pressure for him either. And yes, he wasn't the most efficient in his scoring tonight, but this was what we needed to see from Patrick Williams last season in terms of his assertiveness on offense. I mean, the fact that he took 20 shots alone, even if he's not shooting it that efficiently, is so important. Because I talked about that a lot last season, that for Patrick Williams, he's the one player I would rather see putting up more shots, even if it means he's missing them. Not all the time, of course, because that's a problem, but Patrick Williams averaged only 7.4 attempts per game last season on 28 minutes of play. He was very efficient in that time, but putting up more shots, learning from his mistakes, giving yourself more confidence is so critical at this stage in his career. So to see him be aggressive as he was, even if it's just in the Summer League, and he's the best player on the court, I love seeing that confidence. He looks so much more comfortable out there, showing off his versatility on both ends of the floor. Often, you would see him being a point forward out there, getting guys looks inside and kicking it outside to the open man. I know it may not have seemed like it if you're just looking at the box score because he only had 3 assists, but a lot of great passes just unfortunately weren't being scored by his teammates that often. But he finishes the game with 15 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists. Again, not efficient shooting, going 6 for 20, and he did have 5 turnovers as well, but I'll take it if it means we're seeing a more confident and aggressive Patrick Williams who isn't afraid to learn from his mistakes. Remember, the guy is only 19, not even 20 years old yet. The kid still has a lot of development and growth left to go. The other guy I was very impressed by was Marko Simonovic. He didn't get as much playing time as I would have liked to have seen. He only played 15 minutes, but what struck me about Simonovic, and I know this is going to sound mean and come off the wrong way, I should probably think of a more tactful way to put it, but based on Marko's highlights playing overseas that I saw, I just thought he looked a little clumsy, not the most athletic, not only that, but super skinny. And when he came out in that starting lineup at first, I was like, who is this big dude coming out there and running up and down the floor, looking poised and looking like an NBA player? And of course, it was Simonovic. He clearly has put on some weight, which we had talked about, him needing to do in order to really compete in the NBA at a high level and not get bullied around by other big men in the league. But not only that, he was much smoother than I thought he was going to be after watching his highlights. Granted, it's just one game and a summer league game at that, but that really encouraged me. Not only that, but he was actually really aggressive and fighting for rebounds, not something we had really seen from a guy by the name of Marko in the last couple of seasons. So Marko finished the game with 13 points and 5 rebounds. Was really pleased to see that. And then finally, Dotson. I mean, Dotson, he is undersized for the NBA. We all know that. He's listed as 6'2", but I think he's probably closer to 6 feet. But despite his size, he was grabbing rebounds over guys nearly a foot taller than him and slashing to the hoop and finishing strong. He was actually the Bulls' leading scorer with 16 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists with only 1 turnover. So overall, a very complete game for him, and he did a really great job at managing and running the floor. Now, the one surprise, I have to say, was Thompson. Didn't really know much about this guy leading up to Summer League, but he was getting himself some opportunities and scoring from outside. Really the only player that shot the 3-ball well for the Bulls. Now, Dosunmu, I know he didn't have the best game and he struggled a little to find his footing in his first Summer League game, but this kid looks very promising. He's got to improve his shot. He's got to take smarter shots on the release, but he's actually pretty decent at running the floor and organizing the offense. His ball handling is solid. He's great at staying in front of his man and playing off the ball in defense. If he can just be more efficient with his scoring, that would be a huge impact for the Bulls going into this season. Anyway, I mean, overall, the Bulls lost pretty badly, 94-77. They didn't shoot the ball all that well, especially from 3. But again, it's Summer League. I mean, that's what always stands out to me so much when I watch Summer League after seeing nothing but playoff level basketball, is just the sheer difference in the quality of basketball. The skill level and talent is just unmatched. You see a lot of sloppy plays, ball handling, poor shooting in Summer League, and look, that's to be expected. I mean, most of these guys are not professional level basketball players, not yet anyway. Aside from the handful of first-round picks, most of these players are likely going to be playing in the G League or overseas this season. But it's basketball, which makes it still exciting for me, and it's why I'm still going to watch it regardless. The Bulls have another game tomorrow. That next one, anyway, is against the Spurs. Ironic that the first 2 Summer League games that the Bulls have are against the Pelicans and the Spurs, the 2 teams that they traded with for that big sign-and trade that landed them Lonzo Ball and DeMar DeRozan. Anyway, I'll do another recap video for tomorrow's game, so make sure you subscribe to stay updated as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.